In this video, I will talk about combination with repetition. Okay, so in this case, right, we will choose our objects from n items with repetition, while the order of selection doesn't matter. Okay, so here, let's come up with an example. Okay, so here, let's do this. Choose 5 colors from 3 types of color. Of course, repetition is allowed. Okay, so we have 3 types of color here. Let's say red, blue, and green. Okay, now choose 5 of them. Of course, you have to repeat it because you only have 3 types of color, so there must be some repetition there. Okay, let's pick some samples here. Let's say the first one we choose this. Red, red, blue, blue, and green. Okay, so we have 5 colors here, and it's chosen from here, right? Okay, so you see some repetition here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to represent this with a stars and bar method, okay? So for all these colors here, I will represent it with a star. So we have 5 colors here, right? So I will draw 5 stars. Okay, now, as you can see here, the first 2 are red, right? So these 2 will be red. So it's one category. And I will separate this with a bar. Now, these 2 are blue, right? So that's one category. And I will separate this with a bar. So last one here is just green here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 categories. Next sample, okay? Let's do this. Red, 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 blue, and green. Like that. Again, there are 5 colors here, and I would draw 5 stars, okay? Okay, so now, in this case, the first 3 are red, so that is one category, right? The first 3. So I will draw a bar here to separate this. Now, 1 blue and 1 green, so that is second, third category. Okay, so I separate the category like this, right? Okay, next sample. Let's say we do blue, blue, green, green, and green. Okay, so now, again, I will draw 5 stars. Now, as you can see, this is one category here, right? So I will draw a bar here, right? And then that's one category. That's it. But notice that there's no red here. And red is here, right? So that means we did not choose red. So we will draw a bar here, and there's 0 item here, right? 0 object here, okay? There's no red here. So 1 category, 2, and 3. Okay, now let's pick one more. Let's do one more sample, okay? Just randomly choose some samples. So this time I will do, okay, green, 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 and green. Okay, all green. Again, there are 5 colors, right? So I have to draw 5 of the stars. Okay, that's one category. And we know that red and blue, they are in the front of green, right? So there's nothing here. So I will draw 2 bars here. Okay, so that's 0 red here, 0 blue here, and 5 greens here. Okay, now look at this. As you already know that every single sample has 5 stars here, right? And at the beginning, we choose our objects from n items with repetition. So we have 5 colors, right? We choose 5 colors from 3 types, so R is 5. So R is the number of star, right? So we can say that R here is the number of stars. Okay. What do you notice here? You notice that, right? Every sample here has 2 bars. 1, 2, 1, 2, right? 1, 2, and 1, 2. Because you have 3 categories. If you want to separate 3 categories, right? You have to have at least 2 bars. I mean, actually exactly 2 bars. Because you are not going to put 1 bar here and 1 bar here. You don't put a bar on the far left corner or the far right corner, because you don't need to, because there's no more things here, right? There's no more categories here, right? So you just have to separate 3 categories. You need 2 bars, right? In every single sample here, you want to separate 3 categories, you just have to have 2 bars. Okay? Now, 3 categories, 2 bars. And 3 types of color. So in this case, n is 3, right? 3 items. But always 2 bars. You can see that this is n minus 1, right? So n minus 1 is the number of bars. Okay. Now, next. Let's do another example. Let's do this. Choose 8 colors from 5 types of colors. With repetition. Okay, so let's say we have these 5 types of color. Red, blue, green, purple, and yellow. Okay, so 5 types of color here. Now you have to choose 8. So let's pick some samples, okay? How do you choose it? Okay, maybe the first one, let's try this. Red, red, blue, green, green, purple, yellow, yellow. Okay, so now there are 8 colors in total. Choose from this 5 color here. Of course, you see some repetition here, right? You have to. Okay, now, in this case, I have 8 colors, and I'm going to draw a star to represent each color. So I have to draw 8 stars here. Okay, now separate into category, right, with bars. Okay, so the first 2 is red, so that's 1 category. I draw a bar here. This one is blue, so that's 1 category, and then 2 greens. Okay, 2 greens here, and then 1 purple here, and then 2 yellow here. Okay, so now I will not draw a bar on this side or this side on the left and right, because I don't need to. There's nothing on the left or right side, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. That's right, there are 5 types of color, right? Okay, Next sample. Let's do red, blue, green, purple, purple, yellow, yellow, yellow. Okay, like this. There are 8 colors here. Again, I have to draw 8 stars. Okay, so let's separate into category. So the first one is red, and that's it, right? So 1 bar here, and then blue here, 1 category, 1 bar here, here green, 1 bar here, and then 2 purple, right? So 1 bar here, and then 3 yellows here. Okay, so that's it. Okay. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. Good. Let's do another sample. Let's do red, 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 blue, green, and purple. Okay, 8 colors here, right? Again, I have to draw 8 stars. Okay, now, as you can see, there are 5 reds in the front. So 5 star here, that's 1 category, right? Draw a bar here. And then each of this is like 1, 2, right? Blue, green, purple. Of course, we realize that, right? There's yellow here at the end, right? In the original types of category, types of color. But here, there's nothing here, right? So nothing for yellow, I mean. So I have to draw a bar here, separate this. 0 yellow here. Okay, so here, 0 yellow here. So you have 1 category, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so let's stop here. Notice that, again, the number of star represents the number of colors chosen, which is the letter R here, right? So we can still say that R is the number of stars. Now, how many bars here in each sample here? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And you know that there are 5 types of color, but 4 bars to separate the categories. That makes sense. If you have 5 categories, you want to separate each category, you need 4 bars. And 5 here is n number of items, right? So again, n minus 1 is the number of bars. Okay, so what can we say? In this case, right, with the same conclusion here from the first example here, right? R is the number of star and minus 1 is the number of bars, right? Okay, so now let's look at it here. Just pick the last sample here. Look at the stars and the bars, okay? Now you ask the questions. How many ways can you arrange the stars and the bar? If you have R number of stars and n minus 1 numbers of bars, how many ways can you arrange this? Now, let's ask a better questions, right? Okay, let me write the question down, the original question. How many ways to arrange the stars and bars. But let's look at it this way. Let's say if you have 6 objects, right? What if there are 6 objects? How many ways can you arrange 6 objects? Okay, so let's say you have 6 objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 objects. Okay. At the beginning, how many options do you have to choose from? You have 6, right? 6. Okay. Now, you chose one already, okay? So how many objects do you have left? How many options do you have left? 5, right? So we have 5 to choose from. Okay, another one gone. You chose that already, right? So how many are there left for you to choose from now? 4, right? So 4, right? Okay, another one gone. Now, how many more options do you have left to choose from? 3, right? Okay, so 3. Another one gone. Now, how many options are there left for you to choose from? 2, right? So 2. Another one gone. So now, how many options are there left for you to choose from? 1, right? Okay, 1. Okay, gone. So what is this? This is equal to 6 factorial, right? So if there's 6 objects there are 6 factorial ways for you to arrange these objects. So now, how many ways can you arrange the stars and the bar? Now, in this case here, right? In this case, the total number of objects really is the number of stars here plus the number of bars, right? Okay, here. I can say this. The number of objects is equal to the number of stars plus the number of bars. Now, what's the number of stars? It's R, okay? So R plus what's the number of bars? It's n minus 1, okay? Plus n minus 1. We arrange this, you can rewrite this as n plus r minus 1, right? So that's the total number of objects here in this case, right? When we're looking at this with repetition, okay? Okay. If there's 6 objects here, there are 6 factorial ways of arranging these objects. So if there are n plus r minus 1 number of objects here, how many ways can you arrange this object? Should be n plus r minus 1 factorial ways to arrange this objects, right? This number of objects. Okay, but we are not done yet. We also have to consider the order of selection doesn't matter. Okay, so let's come back here. What do we do if the order of selection doesn't matter? Order of selection does not matter. Right? I should say consider. Right? Consider order of selection does not matter. Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean that order of selection doesn't matter? That means you can choose any of the stars or any of the bars in any order. Okay, so now look at this. Let's use the first example that we did, okay? So here, let's use this example. Red, red, blue, blue, and green, okay? So here, we have red, red, blue, blue, and green, okay? And of course, if we want to represent it with stars and bars, right? So we have this, right? So that's one category. And then here, another one category, right? Okay, now with this, I can just choose like this, right? I can say green first, and then red, red, blue, and then blue, right? I still have 2 red, 2 blue, and 1 green, right? Same thing, right? So the order of selection doesn't matter. I can have green first and then red. Doesn't matter. So when order of selection does not matter, this is the same as this, right? And if I want to write it down with a star and bar method, right? Again, 5 of the stars. So one category here, right? Green, right? And then 2 red here, and then 2 blue here. Okay? So yes, yeah, it looks like the arrangement is different, but it's the same thing, right? It's the same selection. What order of selection does not matter, right? So we don't want to count this one as 1 and this one as 2, right? That would be double counting, okay? So in this case, this and this should only be counted as one way, okay? To do that, how can you modify this formula to make sure it eliminates all the overcounting, the double counting or overcounting? Now think about that. In this case, how many ways can you arrange the stars, which is R, the letter R? Coming back what we talk about here, if we have 6 number of objects, right? The number of ways to arrange the 6 number of objects really is 6 factorial. So the number of ways to arrange R object is R factorial, right? Okay, so let me write this down. R factorial ways, okay? Next, the bars. How many ways can you arrange the bars? If the number of bars is n-1, then there should be n-1 factorial ways to arrange the number of bars, right? Should be n-1 factorial ways. Yeah. Okay. To eliminate all the overcounting, I have to divide this by R factorial times n-1 factorial. Okay, so the formula should be this. N plus R-1 factorial divided by R factorial times n-1 factorial. So that is the formula to calculate how many ways that you can choose with repetition. So that is combination with repetition formula. Okay, let's come back to these examples here, right? Here. So here, the first example, right? Choose 5 colors from 3 types of color. So we know that R here is number of stars, right? R is the 5 types, right? And then n-1. N really is 3 here, right? 3 types of color, right? So 3 minus 1 let me write this. n-1 is 3 minus 1. That is 2. Okay, if we put it into the formula here, right? The one that we just talked about, right? So that should be 2, which is n, right? Plus 5, right? R is 5 minus 1. Factorial divided by R is 5 factorial times, now n minus 1 is 2 factorial. Okay, now you can put into the calculator and calculate how many ways you can choose this. Okay, now next, the second example. In this case, right, in the second example here, R is A and is 5, right? So we know that here, let's write here. Yeah, R is A, and minus 1 is 5 minus 1, which is 4, right? Using the formula that we just talked about. So that would be n is 4 plus R is 8 minus 1 factorial divided by R is 8. Now factorial times n minus 1 is 4 here, right? So 4 factorial. Okay, again, you can put into calculator and then calculate the number of ways, right? That you can choose this from. Okay, so here, here's the formula for combination with repetition. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.